My sister-in-law banned me from seeing my nieces and nephews because I don't follow her rules. Hey Reddit, so I 36M am in this insane situation with my family. We're all supposed to be super close, you know. Big on family, holidays, the whole 9 yards. But underneath it all, there's this weird power dynamic. My older brother, Mark, is the golden child, totally whipped by his wife, Serena. I love my nieces and nephews, but Serena seems to think I'm some kind of threat. It's always been a little tense, but things went nuclear recently. I'm the fun uncle, the one the kids actually want to hang out with. I think that's the problem. Something happened at a wedding that changed everything. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I don't know what to do. Should I just give up and walk away from the kids I love? We were at a family friend's wedding out of state. Mark and Serena had asked me, weeks in advance, to watch the kids that weekend. I was psyched. We had plans: the zoo, mini golf, a whole shebang. The kids were so excited. I even cleared my schedule and booked a hotel room near their house. So picture this, reception S in full swing, everyone's having a good time. I'm chatting with some cousins when Serena pulls me aside. I thought she was going to thank me again for watching the kids, maybe finalize the plans. Instead, she hits me with this out of nowhere. Ethan, we've decided you're not watching the kids this weekend. My stomach dropped. What? Why? I asked, completely blindsided. The kids were right there too, listening to every word. And then she says it in front of everyone, including my nieces and nephews. We don't trust you overnight with them, you don't follow my rules. My rules? What rules? I felt the blood drain from my face, I was speechless. The kids' faces, God, the look on their faces, pure confusion and disappointment. My 8-year-old niece, Lily, started crying, right there, in front of everyone, asking me, Uncle Ethan, why don't you want to see us? I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear. I stammered something about how much I loved them and that it wasn't true. But Serena just glared at me, this smug, satisfied look on her face. It was like she enjoyed humiliating me. Mark, spineless as ever, just stood there nodding along. He mumbled something about Serena's just being protective and walked away, leaving me standing there like an idiot, feeling about 2 inches tall. I felt sick, physically sick. Nausea, a tightness in my chest. I wanted to throw up, right there on the dance floor. It was like a punch to the gut, a betrayal that cut deeper than anything I could have imagined. How could they do this to me? How could they do this to the kids? It was a public execution of my character, my relationship with my nieces and nephews. And for what? I still don't even know. I went back to my hotel room, packed my bags, and drove home that night. I couldn't even be in the same state as them. The whole drive back, I kept replaying that moment in my head. Serena's words, the kids' faces, Mark's pathetic excuse. It was devastating. Okay, so I tried to talk to Mark, like a rational adult. I called him a few days after the wedding debacle, still reeling from the whole thing. I was shaking just dialing his number. I kept rehearsing what I wanted to say, trying to keep my voice level, trying not to sound accusatory. I just wanted to understand. Hey Mark, can we talk about what happened at the wedding? I asked, trying to sound calm. Inside, I was a churning mess of anxiety and hurt. Look, Ethan, he sighed, already sounding defensive. Serena's just worried about the kids, you know how she is. Worried about what? I pressed. What am I supposed to have done? She publicly accused me of not following her rules. What rules, Mark? She's never even told me any rules. My voice was starting to crack. I could feel the anger bubbling up. She thinks you're a bit too lax, he stammered. You know, with bedtime, snacks, that kind of thing. Lax, I practically yelled. Lax, I let them stay up an extra half hour to watch a movie. I let them have ice cream for dessert. Are we seriously talking about ice cream? She humiliated me, Mark, in front of everyone, in front of the kids. He just sighed again, this long, drawn-out, world-weary sigh that made me want to punch him through the phone. Look, she's just being protective, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Are you kidding me? This is my family, these are the kids I love. And she's treating me like some kind of criminal. Protective? This isn't protective, Mark. This is controlling, she's isolating them. And now she's isolating me from them. You need to talk to her, this is insane. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. Look, he said, his voice getting sharper, I'm not going to argue with you about this. Serena's the mother. She makes the decisions about the kids. End of story. And that's when it hit me, the cold, hard truth. He wasn't going to do anything. He was going to let her walk all over me, let her dictate my relationship with his own children, because that's what Mark does. He takes the easy way out. He avoids conflict. He lets Serena run the show. End of story, I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. So that's it, I'm just cut off just like that. Just to try to understand where she's coming from, okay? He mumbled. And then he hung up. He hung up on me, his own brother. I just sat there staring at the phone in my hand, feeling completely numb. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just a little family squabble. This was toxic. This was something else entirely. And I was trapped in the middle of it. Okay, Reddit, buckle up. This whole nightmare with Serena and my nieces and nephews. It's somehow gotten worse. A week later, I get this cryptic text from my mom. Family dinner Sunday, important. I had a bad feeling about this. My gut was screaming. I almost didn't go, but I figured ignoring it would only make things worse. So I show up at my parents' house, and it's not just family dinner. It's an intervention. A freakin' intervention for me. My aunts, uncles, cousins I haven't seen in years, they're all there. Staring at me like I'm some kind of monster. My Aunt Carol, bless her heart, actually started crying. Ethan, she sobbed, how could you do this to Serena, to the children? Do what? I was so confused. Do what? I asked, my voice shaking. I looked at my parents, pleading with them to explain, but they just avoided my gaze. Then my Uncle Steve, this guy I barely know, chimes in. We've heard about your inappropriate behavior, he says, his voice dripping with disapproval. You need to get help. Inappropriate behavior? What in the actual hell is going on? It turns out Serena had been busy. She'd spun this elaborate tale about how I was unstable, how I was a danger to the kids. She even told them I had a drinking problem. A drinking problem. I haven't had more than 2 beers in a single sitting in YEARS. She depoisoned the entire family against me. It was a full-blown character assassination. My mom, trying to play peacemaker, said, Ethan, just apologize to Serena. Tell her you'll get help. It's the only way to fix this. Apologize for something I didn't even do? I saw red. Apologize? Are you kidding me? She's the one who needs help. She's a manipulative, lying. My dad cut me off. Ethan, that's enough. Just apologize and we can all move on. Move on. My entire family thinks I'm some kind of pervert. My reputation is in shambles. I'm being ostracized, alienated, and for what? Because I let my nieces have ice cream before bed. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up, knocking my chair over in the process. I'm done, I said, my voice shaking with rage. I'm done with this. You all can believe whatever you want. But I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do, and I'm certainly not going to let her get away with this. I stormed out of the house, leaving them all sitting there in stunned silence. I got in my car and just drove. I didn't even know where I was going. I just needed to get away. This is affecting everything. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can barely focus at work. My friends are worried sick. I feel like I'm losing my mind. But one thing is for sure, I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to clear my name. I'm going to get my nieces and nephews back, even if it's the last thing I do. This isn't just about me anymore, it's about them. They deserve better than this. They deserve to have their uncle in their lives. And I'm not going to let Serena take that away from them. I'm starting to think I need a lawyer. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, so after that disaster of a family dinner, I was a wreck. Seriously, a complete mess. I felt so alone, so betrayed, like my whole world had been turned upside down. I was starting to doubt myself. Maybe I was the crazy one. Maybe I had done something wrong without even realizing it. I ended up grabbing coffee with David, an old high school acquaintance. We hadn't talked in years, but he'd heard about the drama through the grapevine and reached out. At first, I was hesitant to talk about it. It was so humiliating. But I was desperate. I needed someone, anyone to talk to. It's just insane, David, I said, picking at my muffin. My own family, they think I'm some kind of monster. They actually think I'm a danger to my nieces and nephews. My voice cracked. I could feel the tears welling up. Whoa, slow down, David said, his brow furrowed. What exactly happened? Start from the beginning. So I told him everything. The wedding incident, the lax parenting accusations, the intervention, the whole 9 yards. I spilled my guts. It all came pouring out, this torrent of frustration, confusion, and hurt. As I talked, I watched David's face. At first he looked confused, then concerned, and then shocked. Like jaw-dropping, eyes wide, can't believe what he's hearing, shocked. Dude, he said, shaking his head, that's messed up. Seriously messed up. He paused, taking a sip of his coffee. You know, this reminds me of something. He told me about a rumor he'd heard years ago, back when he and Serena were in the same social circle. Apparently, Serena had been involved in some major drama with her ex. She'd accused him of abuse, even went so far as to involve social services. She depainted this picture of him as this horrible, abusive monster. Everyone believed her. He lost custody of his kids, his reputation was ruined. But then, David continued, leaning in, the truth came out. Turns out she'd fabricated the whole thing, made it all up to get full custody. My blood ran cold. Wait, are you serious? Dead serious, he said. It was a huge scandal. She basically disappeared after that, moved to another town, started over. Suddenly, everything clicked, it all made sense. The over-the-top accusations, the playing the victim, the rallying of the family against me, it was the same pattern. SERNA was using the same TACTICS. Oh my God, I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. It's the same, it's exactly the same. Yeah, man, David said, putting a hand on my shoulder. I think you're dealing with a master manipulator. That conversation, it was a turning point. It was like someone had finally turned on the lights. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. Serena was manipulating everyone just like she'd done before, and I was her new target. I felt a surge of I don't know anger, relief, determination. It was a mix of everything. I finally understood what was happening. And I knew what I had to do. I had to fight back. I had to expose her for myself and for my nieces and nephews. They deserved to know the truth about their mother. And I was going to make sure they did, even if it meant tearing my family apart. I was at work, trying to focus, trying to pretend everything was normal, when the receptionist buzzed me. Package for you, Ethan. I figured it was something I'd ordered online. I was so wrong. I ripped open the envelope, and inside was a single sheet of paper, typed anonymous. My heart started pounding before I even started reading. It was like my body knew something bad was coming. The letter detailed everything. It laid out Serena's entire history of manipulation, starting with her ex-husband, the fabricated abuse claims, the custody battle, the whole sordid mess. It even mentioned specific dates, locations, court documents. Whoever wrote this had done their research. But the last paragraph, that's what broke me. It said, and I'm quoting here, Serena is a danger to her children. She is isolating them, controlling them, manipulating them. She will do anything to maintain her power. Don't let her destroy your family. That's when it hit me, like a physical blow. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about my nieces and NEPHEWS. They were the ones trapped in this web of lies and manipulation. I had to protect them. I needed to protect them. Everything changed in that moment. The fear, the self-doubt, the guilt, it all vanished. Replaced by this white-hot rage, this burning need to do something. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, my chest felt tight like I couldn't breathe. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once, like jumping out of a plane. I crumpled the letter in my fist, the paper digging into my palm. I didn't even feel it. I knew with absolute certainty what I had to do. I had to expose Serena. I had to show my family the truth. No more hiding, no more playing nice, no more being the victim. I picked up the phone and called my parents. We need to talk, I said, my voice shaking. I have something you need to see, something about Serena. I was done. This was war. All right, Reddit, here's how I prepped for the nuclear showdown. This wasn't just about showing up and yelling, this was about systematically dismantling Serena's web of lies. Evidence gathering, the anonymous letter, this was my smoking gun. I made copies, scanned it, and stored it digitally. Paranoia level, maximum. I didn't want her getting her hands on it and making it disappear. David's testimony. I contacted David again, told him about the letter, and asked if he'd be willing to corroborate the story about Serena's past. He agreed, and I wrote down a detailed account of his story, just in case he got cold feet. Backup plan, people. Always have a backup plan. Timeline of events. I created a meticulous timeline of Serena's behavior since she married Mark. Every little incident, every snide remark, every instance of her controlling behavior. I wanted to show a pattern of manipulation, not just isolated incidents. This took hours, but it was worth it. Strategic thinking. Location, location, location. I chose my parents' house for the confrontation. Neutral ground, but also a place where they'd feel comfortable. Plus, it added a layer of accountability. They couldn't just dismiss me as easily in their own home. Controlled environment. I told my parents I needed to discuss something important with the whole family, including Mark and Serena. I specifically asked them not to tell Serena what it was about. I needed the element of surprise. Ambush, baby, emotional control. I knew this was going to be an emotional roller coaster. I practiced staying calm, sticking to the facts, and not letting Serena bait me into an argument. I envisioned every possible scenario, every possible denial, every possible deflection. I was ready for anything. Support system. David on standby. I told David about the meeting and asked him to be available by phone. If things went south, I wanted him ready to back me up. Having an ally is crucial in these situations. Therapist prep. I'd started seeing a therapist to deal with the stress of this whole situation. We talked through the confrontation plan, and she gave me some great tips on managing my anxiety and staying grounded. Therapy is not weakness, it's strategic. Mental and emotional prep. Visualization. I visualized the confrontation over and over, picturing myself staying calm, presenting the evidence clearly, and watching Serena's facade crumble. Manifesting the outcome, people. Self-care. I made sure I was rested, well-fed, and had exercised before the meeting. I needed to be at my physical and mental peak. This was a marathon, not a sprint. Acceptance of the worst-case scenario. I prepared myself for the possibility that my family wouldn't believe me, that Mark would side with Serena, that I would lose everything. It was a terrifying thought, but I needed to be prepared for it. Facing your fears head-on is powerful. I was terrified, yes, but I was also determined. I was done being the victim. I was taking back control. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about protecting my nieces and nephews, and I was ready to fight. Wish me luck, Reddit, I'm going to need it. Okay, Reddit, this is it, the moment of truth, the climactic showdown. My heart was hammering in my chest as I sat in my parents' living room, waiting for the meeting to begin. My parents were there, looking nervous. Mark was there, oblivious as ever, scrolling through his phone. And then Serena swept in, all smiles and fake concern. Ethan, honey, is everything all right? Your mom said you wanted to talk about something. The condescension dripped from her voice like honey or maybe poison. I took a deep breath. Yes, Serena, there's something we need to discuss, as a family. I kept my voice calm, steady, no trembling, no pleading. This was my time. Oh, she said, raising a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. And what's that, dear? It's about your concern for my nieces and nephews, I said, my eyes locked on hers. The smile faltered, just a flicker, but I saw it. I pulled out the copies of the anonymous letter. I think you'll find this interesting. I handed a copy to each person in the room. Serena snatched hers up, her eyes scanning the page. Her face went white, then red. Then a mottled, ugly purple. What is this? She shrieked, her voice cracking. This is ridiculous, it's a lie. Is it, Serena? I asked, my voice still calm. Because it lines up pretty well with what I've heard about your past dealings. I glanced at David's notes, including the fabricated abuse claims against your ex-husband, resulting in him losing custody of his children. She sputtered, trying to form words. That's ancient history, it's irrelevant. Irrelevant? I scoffed. It's a pattern, Serena, a pattern of manipulation and control, and now you're using those same tactics on my family. Mark finally looked up from his phone. What's going on? He asked, bewildered. Mark, I said, turning to him, read the letter, read it carefully, and then ask yourself if this sounds familiar. He read it slowly, his brow furrowing deeper with each line. I could see the realization dawning on his face. The color drained from his cheeks. He looked at Serena, his eyes filled with, what was that? Disbelief, hurt, betrayal, the turning point, right there. The power shifted. The air crackled with tension. Serena, seeing Mark's reaction, panicked. Mark, don't listen to him. He's lying. He's trying to turn you against me. Her voice was shrill, desperate. The mask was slipping. The perfect wife, the concerned mother, gone, replaced by a cornered animal baring its teeth. Who sent this letter? Mark asked, his voice barely a whisper. It doesn't matter who sent it, I said. What matters is that it's true, and you know it. I don't know what to believe, Mark stammered, looking from me to Serena and back again. Believe the truth, Mark, I said, my voice rising. Believe what you're seeing with your own eyes. Look at what she's doing to our family. Serena was sobbing now, big, dramatic sobs. He's lying, he's trying to ruin our marriage, he's jealous. Jealous of what, Serena? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Jealous of your controlling, manipulative behavior, jealous of the way you've alienated me from my nieces and nephews. Jealous of the toxic environment you've created in this family. She couldn't answer, she just kept sobbing, burying her face in her hands. Mark stood up, his face pale. He looked at Serena, then at me, then at his parents. I need some air, he mumbled and walked out of the room. And that was it. The dam had broken, the truth was out. The power dynamic had shattered. Serena's reign of terror was over. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me, but also relief. A profound, bone-deep relief. It was finally over, I had won. Update, the fallout has been messy, to say the least. Mark is questioning everything. My parents are reeling. Serena is still playing the victim, but her power is gone. She knows I have her number. And most importantly, I'm seeing my nieces and NEPHEWS again. It's not perfect, but it's a start. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know one thing: I'll fight tooth and nail to protect those kids. They deserve better, and I'm going to make damn sure they get it. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. I couldn't have done it without you. It's been a few months since the explosion. The dust has settled, sort of. It's weird, like walking through a house after a fire. Some things are salvageable, some things are just gone. The immediate aftermath was brutal. Serena went nuclear, screaming, crying, blaming everyone but herself. She packed a bag and disappeared for a few days. Mark was a wreck, completely shell-shocked. He kept saying he didn't know what to believe. My parents, they were devastated. They felt betrayed by Serena, but also confused. They'd been so thoroughly manipulated, it was hard for them to grasp the reality of the situation. Serena eventually came back, but things were different. She knew I had her number. She knew I wouldn't back down, so she begrudgingly agreed to let me see the kids again. No restrictions, no rules. It's still tense, uncomfortable. Serena avoids me like the plague. Mark is still trying to piece his marriage back together, but I can tell he's changed. He sees her differently now. He's not completely free of her influence, but the blinders are off. He's starting to think for himself. That's a huge win. My parents are processing. They're trying to rebuild trust, not just with me but with each other. It's a slow process, but they're getting there. They've apologized for doubting me, which meant a lot. As for me, I'm different. This whole experience has changed me. I'm stronger, I'm more assertive. I'm not afraid to speak up. I learned that sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even if it means risking everything. And I learned the hard way that family isn't always what it seems. The kids are okay. They're happy to see me, which is all that matters. They don't fully understand what happened, but they know I'm there for them. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Being the best uncle I can be. Protecting them from the toxicity that still lingers in their home. It's a mixed bag, Reddit. A bittersweet victory. I won the battle, but the war isn't over. There are still wounds that need to heal. Relationships that need to be rebuilt. But I'm hopeful. I'm taking it one day at a time. Focusing on the positive. Cherishing the moments I have with my nieces and nephews. Has anyone else dealt with a manipulative family member? How did you handle it? Any advice on navigating this minefield?